Look who came crawling back. How's it going, guys? It's Cass. I'm back for a short little hello. I just kind of wanted to get straight into it and talk about kind of what it's like behind the scenes working with Ches and a bunch of other creators. For someone who, is kind of in the space, specifically with Ches, of course, but, in general with like everything going on, I think it was just something that would be pretty fun to talk about and do. So that's kind of what this video is about. Like, I don't really have, like, a true plan on, like, what I'm doing. I hope you enjoy the Portal gameplay. I fucking love Portal. Like, might be one of my favorite games of all time. So, this is my sub 50-minute run that I just did, just casually. I'm a little rusty. You might see some stupid mistakes, but I wasn't really taking it very seriously. Yeah, I thought I would kind of just give, like, the rundown of, like, like, how it happened, why I was there for so long, and why I'm not there as often anymore. And kind of just give a context of, like, for those who, where I am, where you're in the videos, or doing stuff like that. So this is kind of like how I met Ches. So back in 2023, way before Ches like even made the Chesito channel and anything like that, I was very new to the industry of YouTube as a whole. And during that time, I actually got invited to a Discord server with like about 15 shorts creators. For those of you who don't know, Ches, before doing the Reacts content, he actually was a like Minecraft shorts YouTuber by Ches Guy. Like that was literally his name. And so he did stuff similar like Camman18 and stuff like that. I actually didn't know him that well, but that's when I started really hanging out with like Barnes. Now I knew Barnes a couple years before this, but that's when like Barnes and I started to really obsess over YouTube, and I connected with a couple people that during that time that were super chill to talk to. Some of the most notable people is like Panimal, another YouTuber called P.O. Feather. He does other stuff now, but from there I kind of met Ches, and I got kind of more connected into the YouTube space. And about 6 months later, I was invited into this Discord server called Creator Executive. Now, this is like a back-end YouTuber Discord server that had like both back-end people, but it was for the most part made for YouTubers, and it was predominantly shorts creators. And at the time, Ches had just launched his channel, and his Name Sound Alikes videos was doing really, really well. And he was still trying to figure out the identity of his channel. And at this point, like, I literally have probably talked to this guy in a VC like maybe twice in my entire life. I was in Creator Executive, and we made this like lobotomized bot, and it was really, really stupid, but you can make it say like unhinged things. And the person who made that was actually Minrax, and this was before I knew Minrax either. And it's kind of funny when looking back at that video, because a lot of those people in that video ended up being like mainstay returning people. And so I remember my first line I've ever said on the Ches channel that I recall is, "We're in hell, aren't we?" I didn't even realize they were recording at the time. We were just messing with this bot. But that was kind of it. Like, it was just, I mean, it really was just that I was in the right place at the right time. That was his 9th ever video, and that was the first video I was ever in. And then shortly after that, I didn't show up for a minute. Like, I wasn't like a namestay when it came to the group. At the time, it was Cam, it was a guy named Element, Barnes was in a couple of them, but I just was not. And then the next thing that I was in, idiots laughing at cursed AI generated images. And that was kind of where like the group at the time, Barnes, like Ches needed another person. I think Barnes recommended me. This was around the same time I got added to like a private Discord server with like Ches and that group, but I still wasn't very close. Like I might have been like a week in at this time. I remember that video just did really well for the time. A lot of people kind of commented talking about how like it was a good group and it was funny, but there was no plan for me to be in another video again. And it wasn't until about a week later, Ches did he was doing a Discord talent show, I think, to be inspired off of Isaac Y. I remember joining, and I kind of just started messing around. And at this point, I'd only been in 2 videos, one by accident. And I started like, I don't know, trying to be really funny. So I was like playing characters. I kept changing my like profile to like Logan Paul, the Second Tower. And I was really just trying to lean into the comedy side of things. So it's a really cringe video. Would not recommend watching it. But if you want to see like early cast, like that's like where I was. And I remember right afterwards, like I think the day or 2 later, like Ches put me in another group chat with Barnes, and we did kids test answers. Realistically, what happened and how I kind of got into it and where I'm like leading with this is the reason I became very, very consistent with Ches was that I was in the right place at the right time. While I did know people who were friends with him, I was not directly close with him in general early on. What really happened was that, when there were public events or, like when he was in VC, I was funny. I didn't try, I didn't even realize he was recording half the time. And so early in, we kind of didn't really plan things out. So a lot of the time, it'd be like an hour before, he'd be like, "Hey, you guys want to do a recording?" And I was someone that had college and stuff, but I mostly was full focusing YouTube at the time. So I was almost always available. And so, yeah, it kind of worked out. So, and then of course, behind the scenes, like I started talking to him almost every day. It was him, Cam, Barnes, and a couple other people. Like, and it evolved over time, but there are a lot of people we don't talk to now. There's a lot of people we do, Yeah, we all kind of connected really well. For a while, it was really, really consistent. And during this time, I like ran a Minecraft Kids channel, which is where like my play button behind me and some of like the videos with the webcam on Chez's channel come from. Was at the time like Chez was in those videos too, and so we kind of just always prioritize having fun. So I'd show up for his stuff, sometimes he'd show up for mine and mess around. I think it'd be so funny if people find that kid's channel that Chez is like a character on. He plays this like Italian pizza guy named Tony. Really funny. But yeah, no, it kind of worked out. And so for a while, we were just, messing around and doing what we could. And eventually it kind of led to me, I was learning how to become a YouTube strategist, and I was fairly in at the time. And so I just kept kind of showing up and doing back end stuff. And so I was really, really, really relied on for, back end stuff and just helping out and showing up when needed. And, after I did my kids channel stuff and I kind of moved on from it, I actually got a job with TBNR, which is like, that's like Preston and stuff like that. And I was doing some stuff on his channel, like his channels. What's funny is there's a short where it's a Preston short, and literally my Fortnite account is being used because they had me help set up like a secret room, and they were like, we need Fortnite. So I was still in videos at the time, and a couple of my stuff is like still from there. I only worked there for about 3 months. I did get fired. What was funny was that I remember I had to miss a Chez recording because I got fired, and I didn't really want to tell them, and I had to break it to them privately. But it was like a really, really kind of crazy situation. And so eventually I came back, and one of my first things I did was, this was late 2024. I made my own channel, and I started uploading my own stuff. I was very much so, if you look at early aspects of this channel, I was very much so a Chez clone, but kind of like scuffed. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, the channel was just very, very scuffed. And I didn't know what I was really doing yet. But eventually I kind of figured it out, and I kind of moved on from it and, just kept locking in. But it didn't work, and I didn't get a return. Like, I wasn't monetized or anything. It was really difficult. I think I dropped like $4,000 or something crazy on the channel. Maybe not that much. It was a couple $1,000s, and it wasn't working. And so I kind of stopped, and I went to kind of client consultancy. So I worked with a couple like channels, and I basically got paid to do so. Some of those I'm not as proud of as others, but it is what it is. I had to pay rent, I had to do what I had to do. Bills were high. I was still doing Chez videos at the time, and then I got a client who I've now been working with for well over a year, and it's kind of the reason I haven't really been uploading what I want to, and I kind of handed the channel off to LC. It was fine, it was good. I was kind of getting tired of the format, like full honesty. Like, we take you guys behind the curtain for a second here. We a lot of the time amp up what we're acting or doing for. So, like, I hope that you can hear me now. Like, this is like more authentic version of me. I'm still amping up a bit for the talking. It was less authentic when we did Chez videos because we wanted it to be funny and add a reaction. And so, it kind of drained me over time, and I was more open than doing it, like, but it kind of made me realize, like, dude, I just want to do my own stuff. And so that's kind of where I led back into eventually coming back. So I decided to come back with a heater of Shadow the Hedgehog feet. I was just messing around in Audacity, and I thought it would be funny. So that was kind of my triumphant return. And then I remember Vixios, who is like kind of similar stuff to what Chez does, maybe a little lower edited, and he did cave diving videos, and they were going crazy. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do that. And so I did like a couple cave diving videos, and they never did great. I mean, I uploaded like every 3 days. My whole goal was to like find the in-between between what Chez and Vixios was doing. And so it took me a minute to kind of get my stride. And I swear to God, I had like a few videos where I was getting like 1,000 views, but they were pretty much all edited by me or like a buddy of mine for like $30. Like, I felt bad. I know that sounds really low, but I mean, these videos were getting done in an hour. I literally was like, cut them, literally cut them, make the pacing like okay, and then I was like, add some music and some zooms, and that's it. Like, it was all presets. And so we were doing that like crazy, and that's what I did for like literally maybe like 2 weeks. And then I had like my big hit, which was the hub comments. And that went crazy. And so I started like really doubling down on uploads. And then I got burnt out. I mean, admittedly I did. And so I took a little bit of a break. and I came back for a Gooner exam, and that video was so fun. I did it. I swear to God, I did. I milked the crap out of it. The reason why, and like how my philosophy compared to Ches was that my goal was always to make sure that I had more fun recording than I did for the performance. The whole philosophy was that if everyone enjoyed doing it, I'm gonna keep doing it, and that's why like Gooner exam did so well. Was because I think it was the most authentic recording I've ever been in. And so that was kind of like my big future was I was like, I'm just going to be authentic. You know, like the recording, the thumbnails, I just kind of went off in a different like area. And I, a lot of comments of people who've never seen my channel were like, holy shit, you need to slow down on the pacing. Yeah, I kind of intentionally like had it like jingle jingle, like, you know, oh, the back rooms, jingle jingle jingle. But that's just, I don't know, like that, I just kind of liked it. Like that's how I enjoyed watching the videos. I don't know, I'm really happy with how they turned out. But of course, eventually I got a opportunity. I'd been working with this channel for like over a year. I had finally gotten an opportunity to like, you know, like run things up and do things the way I wanted to do them back end with a job that I didn't feel comfortable not saying yes to. And so that's what I do now. But, you know, while working here, and I still am working here, you know, it was one of those things where I can't, due to like branding, like admittedly, like I can't continue to make that type of content with Ches. That's kind of where like things ended. Like Ches and I admittedly talk still a bunch. Like we still hang out. Like even after like, you know, I was in the middle of like this job stuff, like he was hanging out with us down in like Georgia, which is where like Cam, Elsie, and I are. And so it's just been kind of like a crazy situation. And I feel bad for kind of like disappearing, but I do have a goal for this channel. I kind of figured out there is a way I can like continue doing content. So if you guys see, like, I have an attached channel called Kaz. That's kind of where I just do, like, shit posts. So if you want to, like, you know, listen to me sing and do other crap, then, like, feel free to go there. But I think I'll have some more stuff I'll do on this channel. But I'm not like, particularly sure what that is yet. If you're wondering, like, what happened with Ches, like, you know, I took a job. I can't really be on his stuff anymore. At least not easily. Yeah, we're all good. We're all chill. We still hang out in VCs and stuff. You know, it's honestly been a blast, like, doing back-end stuff again and not being, like, a big face. You know, like, if you want to know how to be, like, in Ches videos, just be in the right place in the right time and don't oversell yourself. Just try to be, like, just try to be a little funny, I guess. You know, go for the bits. That's what I did. But yeah, so, like, there's been no falling out with Ches and I, but figured I would just make a video and talk about, you know, kind of how I met Ches and how I got where I am, at least from, you know, that end and, like, the back end with, like, the meme content. So, alright. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Or don't. I don't really care. Alright. Peace.